morning, guys, my fellow dispatchers and my future dispatchers. Happy Saturday. As many of you know, it's summertime, so most of you are relaxing with your families. And if you're my student, you are working very hard because you need to learn. We finish second class of the safety and compliance today. Tomorrow we have our fourth class for dispatching. And I start preparing for my August class. And we do need preparation before you guys enter my class. You need to learn some terminology. You need to start looking into commodities, into the shippers, into receivers. And I do believe that long time ago I already did the video, and probably I was a newbie like you, so maybe it was not a good quality, and probably it had a music background because I thought that I was cool, right? To have a music on background, to don't have a good quality, maybe having extra noises, maybe not having a good streaming software, because as many of you know, we learn at some point. So I decided to revisit today, and our topic is going to be trucking industry terminology for new people entering this business, or maybe reminding some people what does it mean and what we have to do as a dispatcher, as an owner of the company, as a truck driver. So hopefully, guys, you can learn with me. And I am waiting for a few people to join my live because it was a last minute. After class, I had some time today. And like any of you, I am not just teaching classes. I'm a full-time mom and I have family, so I have to clean, cook. I did all of that and I end up sitting here by myself and I'm like, okay, what can I do? Well, I can share my knowledge. So I'll be back in a second and we're going to start working on trucking terminology. A must. ABCs for new dispatchers and for seasoned dispatchers, and maybe for the owners of the company. And we are back. So, of course, I will be sharing my screen because for a lot of you, English is not your first language, and sometimes listening to my Ukrainian accent might be hurting your ears. But again, we're in transportation, we have people from different countries, different backgrounds, we have different accents. So, you have to get used to it. If you can understand me, you can understand most of the people in transportation. So let's start. And it's going to go probably in alphabetical order. So let's just touch up on the main things. The first thing is rate confirmation. Rate confirmation, RC, tender, load agreement. What is a rate confirmation? Well, this is a contract, right? Legally binding document that you guys have between carrier and broker. And what are you guys doing? You are agreeing to certain services, right? Broker is hiring you as a carrier to move stuff from A to B. First, you decide on the rate you agreed upon, right? You, as a dispatcher, have to ask for lots of details before you start talking about the money, because again, money is not the first thing you're gonna be talking about. You need to make sure the transit is possible, that you can even pick up and deliver on time. You need to make sure that your equipment is valid. Do you really have a dry van with wooden floors? Do you have roll up doors or do you have a swing doors? So those details have to be discussed before you agreed to money. Is commodity is on your policy? Do you need to know this? Of course you need to know this. Then you're going to agree to terms. What are the terms? Well, you agreeing to pick up this load. for example, tomorrow on Sunday at 9 a.m., right? By strict appointment. Or maybe it's first come, first serve. You have from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Or maybe you have a window from 9 a.m. to noon. You're going to pick up with a certain equipment. So it can be dry van, it can be reefer, it can be stab deck, it can be flatbed, it can be power only, it can be lots and lots of different equipment. So you agreeing that your equipment is okay to hold this. You also agreeing that your driver will pick up on time and deliver on time. Let's say you are picking up tomorrow in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. You're going to Minneapolis and delivering that to Costco at 6 a.m. in the morning. Well, you're talking about strict receiver Costco. You picking up in Pleasant Prairie, probably the heavy water load. It can go on two types of equipment. It can go on a dry van or reefer. If you have a reefer, you have to make pay attention to weight. Is it really heavy or not, right? Can you scale that heavy water load? So let's say that weight is 44,000. You can scale. It can go on a dry van or reefer, doesn't matter. It's going to be palletized product, and you agreed on $1,400. So this is your rate confirmation. The broker is going to put all those details. They're going to assign for your carrier, for their MC, their DOT. They're going to ask you some information about the driver. Who is the driver? What is his name? They will ask you for the phone number because they need to track the shipment, and also ask for truck number and trailer number. You're gonna sign, you're gonna review all the terms and send it back. So now it is what? This is a legally binding document that both parties have to fulfill. Broker agrees to pay you. Broker agrees that the shipment is going to be ready exactly at that time and it's scheduled to deliver at Costco. You, as a carrier, you agree that you're gonna pick up, you're not gonna do damages, you're gonna make a transit, and you're gonna deliver. So this is the meaning of the rate confirmation. So this is the first number one terminology that the new dispatchers have to understand. Let's go to next one. Notice of assignment. And again, I think we're going in the order. I just picked the terminology which you need to understand. What is the notice of assignment? We have the video about the factoring, guys, right? We have it on our channel. Make sure you rewatch how to choose a factoring, what is a factoring. But you, as a dispatcher, need to understand what is a broker wants from you when he asking you, can you please send me NOA? Please make sure attach NOA to the setup, or I really need your updated NOA. Remember, in logistics, we do not have time. So a lot of times we're going to use abbreviation. Remember rate confirmation, RC. Did you receive my RC? That means, did you receive my rate confirmation? That's what it means, RC. Can you send me NOA? Can you send me notice of assignment? So what they want to see the proof. Who are you factoring with? And it can be different factoring companies, and they will give you notice of assignment. What is the notice of assignment is refers to? This is agreement between carrier and factoring. And who is a factoring? Factoring is a third party company which buys your invoices. They pay you faster and they want to make sure that all the payments, all the checks, all the ACH is going to go directly to them. Factoring is going to pay you within 24 hours, 48 hours. It depends on agreement and how fast you submit your invoices and all the paperwork. But notice of assignment is going to show, for example, Alex Transportation works with RTS, and all the payments have to go to RTS in Kansas City, right? Or Oklahoma City, whatever your factoring located, that's where it's gonna go. So broker knows that their accounting is not gonna pay directly to you. They're not gonna send you a check, but they're gonna mail the check or ACH or transfer money to your factoring. So that's a meaning NOA, notice of assignment. How often do we update notice of assignment? Usually, if you stay with the same factoring, you're not gonna update it. So we update notice of assignment if we switch factoring, right? So if you decide to go and choose a different factoring first, you will have to go through buyout process, and only then you will be assigned a new notice of assignment. Easy? Very easy. So now, guys, you know what NOA means. Okay, what is the next one? And here's again explanation about factoring. That it's a financial transaction and it's a type of a debtor finance. So somebody's buying your invoices and they will wait and they will collect money later, right? So factoring, not only trucking use factoring. For example, builders use factoring, people who make some products because they need money to make something. You guys need factoring for few reasons. You need to pay your drivers on time. You need to pay fuel on time. You need to pay your equipment on time. You cannot wait for 30, 60 days, 90 days and wait for brokers to pay you. And if you're going to start using quick pay or you're going to go and bill directly each broker, it's lots of headache, and in the end of the day you're going to spend more money in those charges than to have factored. Many of you know I work for RTS. So if somebody's looking for the RTS factor, and you always reach out to me, it's on our website as well. Or you can call me directly or email me at learndispatchtoday at gmail.com. You guys know all the information about our channel, so you know how to reach me right away. So if you're looking for factoring, I can help you with RTS. But again, you can choose any factor. If they are giving you a good deal, if you know what you're getting, you should choose whoever you feel comfortable with. Okay, I'm not here to sell you any businesses. Why did I choose RTS? Because as a carrier, I went through a lot of different factoring, and in the end, I choose the one which I think right now is the best on the market, one of the best. Some of you don't have a good experience, but it takes two to tango. A lot of times I hear the opinion of the carriers, oh, I don't like RTS, this and this. Well, first, you need to make sure you do things you have to do as a dispatcher. For example, check on the credit. Make sure you submit paperwork on time. Make sure your drivers do not lose paperwork. So that's why when people say, oh, I don't like work with this and this and this, it's always a catch there. So it's never one-sided story. Remember that every story has two sides. I can say that I'm the best dispatcher. It might not be the truth if you talk to my carriers, right? Every story has two sides. But so far, you understand what factoring means. Okay, let's continue. The bill of lading. So what is a BOL? Well, again, BOL, this is legally binding documents. What I like to call it's it's itemized. Actually, look at this. I have a bunch of BOLs right here in front of me, right? So what is this? Every time you get loaded, your driver gets bill of lading. What does it there? Well, usually it's gonna tell you who was the shipper, who was the receiver, the date, the items, how heavy was it, what was the commodities, right? So this one, for example, it's picked up in Joplin, Missouri. It was going to Lineage Logistics, Geneva, Illinois. It was 41,400 of total weight. It was 18 pallets, and by the time it also was refrigerated, it was 34 degrees. Okay, so this is our BOL. BOL can be as many as 10 pages, as 20 pages, only one page, and usually you will have a stamp after you deliver. So before you deliver, we call it bill of lading, right? So then what happens after you deliver? Look, you have a stamp, you have a signature, right? And now it's becoming proof of delivery. That means that you deliver this without any damages, without any shortages. That everything was taken from your truck. So now you can take POD, proof of delivery. You can attach your rate confirmation, your agreement for this load with, let's say, rate that you agreed to, let's say $2,000, add PODs, and you can submit to your factory, or you can invoice directly. So why, as a dispatcher, you need to know the difference? BOL before delivery, after you get loaded, POD after you deliver. Usually the broker will call you and ask you, can you send me POD ASAP? Or you're going to have stipulation in the rate confirmation. All PODs must be sent to us within 48 hours, or we will charge you $50 per day, $100 per day, or you might have short pays, right? So as a dispatcher, please take my advice. Every time you deliver the load, make sure you send PODs to your broker. First, you're gonna not break that contract because you are giving them update that load was delivered. Secondary, this is your chance of what? Of building relationship, right? And the third, you're not gonna have short pays because you do this on time, and it's gonna make your process, your accounting process, way faster, because broker is gonna close this in a system as delivered, as no damages, no shortages, no claims, and your factoring can verify this load faster. So making sure you send the PODs to your broker is a must. What can you advise your driver? Well, first, your driver has to pay attention. How many pages did they give him, right? So if he was loading and they gave him 5 pages of BOLs, then he drives to Costco. He goes and he check in. And for delivery, they gave him a dog, they took his paperwork. Well, if he gave 5 pages, it cannot be less than 5 pages, but sometimes they will add extra page or extra stamp. For example, in this case, you have the stamps, right? Costco puts a stamp, Walmart put a stamp, Target put a stamp, and a lot of times you are not going to receive your money if you missing that stamp. So whose responsibility is this? Of course, driver, because me as a dispatcher, I am not on the delivery side. I am not on the loading side. So driver, and driver have to make sure that all paperwork is given and collected correctly. And when you ask them to send you a scan, dear drivers, I know you want to give us hard time, but nowadays with technology, there is no excuse that we cannot get a good scan of every page, including all of the stamps, including all the receipts for lumper, for washout, whatever else was there, late fees, together in a nice scan. The better scan you send me, the faster I can send to the broker, the faster I can invoice you. So in the end, everyone wins, right? I'll be right. Okay, what else do we need need to know as a new dispatchers. And of course, we need to know, what does it mean pickup number? So this is a PU number. What is a delivery number, right? What is a delivery confirmation? What is appointment number confirmation? Is it always going to be the same number? Guys, sometimes it's going to be 5, 10 different numbers. If you have different products, you might have different PU number, or it can be PO, actually purchase order number. And if I am picking up, let's say, dairy product, I might pick up 2 pallets of the strawberry yogurt, 5 pallets of the cherry yogurt, and then they put extra butter. Maybe pickup numbers or PO numbers are going to be different. As a dispatcher, you need to recognize which numbers do you need to give for pickup for the driver. Can you skip some of those numbers? Well, if you just gave him a number and he did not pay attention and he got so excited that instead of 20 pallets, now he's only getting 10 pallets, and he's like, oh my God, it's going to be the light load. Good job. He closed the door. Person who is loading him did not pay attention also, because they don't know. They just go by pickup number. You start driving and you drove 1,000 miles all the way somewhere in Massachusetts delivering, let's say, to Walmart. Well, and here you have a shortage. Shortage because you as a driver and you as a dispatcher did not give all pickup numbers. So here it is. You always have to verify all the numbers. Ask the pallet count. How many pallets is it going to be? Approximate weight. Don't get too excited. When they told you that it's going to be full truck load, 42,000, and suddenly you have only 5 pallets, it doesn't happen that often. So if your driver tells you, well, Alex, it's only 5 pallets, he cannot leave. Make sure you double check with a broker how many pallets were supposed to be there if the broker gave you all pickup numbers. But again, pickup number can be one number. Delivery number can be different number because it's a 2 different facilities, right? So pickup number, PO number, usually refers to product. Delivery number, appointment number goes by the facilities. So how it can be the same? If you're picking up in a Lineage Logistics and you delivering to Walmart, Lineage Logistics have their system, for example, so their numbers is certain way. Walmart appointments, totally different system. So you need to make sure you pay attention to what? To rate confirmation. Pickup numbers to pick up, delivery numbers to deliver, appointments number exactly goes with appointment for pickup or deliver, and stay away from TBD, to be determined. This is a worst case scenario. Do not trust TBD. That means that your appointment for pickup or delivery have not been scheduled. And if you guys go to the strict shippers or receivers, believe it or not, you punishing yourself. Let's say you receive the rate confirmation and it says TBD, but the broker told you, well, it's picking up at 2 p.m. It's delivering tomorrow at 1 p.m. as well. If you see TBD on one of those, you'd better not to sign that rate confirmation. Call the broker back. Ask them to resend you rate confirmation with exact times that you agreed on. And if he's telling you, well, it's okay, just trust me, what's going to happen? Lots of times that means appointment was not made. Secondary, if you sign rate confirmation with TBD, to be determined, you agreeing to unknown pickup or delivery. And if you agreeing to unknown pickup and delivery, can we talk about detention? Can we talk about layover? No, because you agreed to TBD, to be determined, whenever. Maybe you're going to deliver 7 days later, right? So pay attention. Let's keep going. So those are easy words, right? PO. Common carrier. So who is a common carrier? So common carriers, it's a commercial or residential shippers and generally operates as a motor carrier. So it's a trucking company. Common carriers, we can transport LTL, less than truckload, full or partial load, or intermodal freight. And of course, we're not gonna do it for free. We do it for compensation, right? And now all of you are complaining. Well, market went down. We are driving for free. We feel like we are charity trucking. Well, you need to change your game. You need to know your profits. But yes, market is down. Do you need to survive? Yes, you need to survive. So make sure maybe you change which loads are you taking, maybe area, maybe revisit how much you spending on all the other services. Maybe you need to cut out on some services. Maybe you need to start doing safety in the house. Maybe your dispatchers who have more experience can dispatch extra trucks and you're gonna get rid of newer dispatchers. Maybe you as an owner have to step up and start doing accounting and invoicing and everything else until you survive. But the biggest problem is knowing your operational cost. But here is just the meaning of who is a common carrier, right? So usually trucking company is a common carrier. Lumper service. What is a lumper service? Well, lumper service, again, guys, we have a great video on our channel, right? So lumper service usually is a third party. And what do? They help. Oops, I think I move my mouse. So let me go back to lumper. Sorry, guys. So what does it do? They help you load or unload your truck, right? For example, you go to Walmart facility. Walmart facility does not have employees, exactly Walmart employees who load or unload. Usually it's a third party who works on their premises, right? And they charge you for that. Lumper fees, almost 100% have to be reimbursed by broker. Whoever buys that product, they already know how much lumper service is gonna cost. But as a dispatcher, you need to remember few things. Lumper amount has to be approved by your broker because sometimes lumper services can come up with an idea to charge you extra. And if you paying by yourself, you might run into problem on not getting reimbursed. So always make sure you ask your broker, are there gonna be any lumpers? How much do you think lumpers gonna be? Are you willing to give come check T check to our drivers, or you want us to pay? And then when I send you the receipt, you gonna send me revised rate confirmation. Look at this new terminology. We had a rate confirmation. Now we have revised rate confirmation. Well, something changed. What changed? We paid for lumper. Now they need to give us money back for that lumper. Let's say $200. We had 2,000 agreed rate confirmation. Now we paid 200 for the lumper. We submitted receipt which was given to our driver on shipping or receiving side. We submitted with a PODs with lumper receipt, and the broker sent us a new revised rate confirmation. Something changed. What changed in this case? The amount that they have to pay us due to what? Due to lumper. And my students know all the different examples when we receive a revised rate confirmation. Few more things. Drivers have to make sure they submit receipt, lumper receipt. Even if the broker gave them money, T-check, com-check, whatever they gave them, even if the broker paid, you have to submit lumper receipt. Otherwise, what's gonna happen? You guys gonna have short pay. Okay. What else? Well, invoice and bill, right? Like in any industry, we have to invoice or bill our brokers. So, I guess what? We already know in order to get paid, we need to have few different parts put together. First, rate confirmation sign, and executed. We need to have PODs, proof of delivery. If we have any extra receipts for lumper, for washout, or whatever else they're reimbursing us for, we need to add those. And we're gonna go and what? And we're gonna submit for invoicing, and then you're gonna receive money. The biggest problem in trucking is not even about dispatching trucks. It's not about opening company. It's about receiving your money. So paperwork is a must. And as the dispatcher, you need to know that just posting your truck, just negotiating load, this is only the first part of the process, just right here. Then you need to pick up on time. You need to make sure nothing is damaged. You need to submit that paperwork, and that's how it goes. So in the end of the day, that circle has to be completed. Who takes a part of it? Dispatcher, driver, your accountant, if accountant is involved. If you as a dispatcher do invoicing, then you have to do this. Okay? What else we have? ELD. What is ELD? Well, probably everybody knows what is ELD. I still have a lot of people who come to my classes without prior knowledge, and that's what I love. I love people coming without prior knowledge, but they do need to invest time before my first class. You need to know the terminology. So again, ELD stands for electronic login device, right? Because you will need to make sure that you know who is a ELD provider, what is ELD does, why do we have these regulations, right? Who make these regulations, and what are the rules for hours of service? So as a new dispatcher, you need to go to FMCSA website and read about hours of service, about rules, and start practicing, because you as a dispatcher have to understand hours of service. So if you planning to work as a dispatcher, if you are dispatching but are not putting together your transit and HOS, then you're not dispatching. You are playing dispatching game, because without hours of service, without understanding the transit, you really not dispatching. You book in the loads and you hope that miracles gonna happen. And what's gonna happen? First, you're gonna start running late to pick up to delivery, so your load's gonna start canceled, or your drivers will have no choice but start faking logbooks or driving like crazy because you don't understand the transit. So actually, you as a dispatcher putting your driver in danger because you simply do not know the rules. Okay, third of all, this will give you validation to negotiate with the brokers, because most of them don't know hours of service. So when they give you pick up at 2 p.m. and strict delivery next day at 6 a.m. with even 450 miles, sometimes it's not going to be possible. It depends what you were delivering before. Who knows this? Only you, and you. So you will need to have access to ELDs for your drivers. You will need to know the rules. You will need to calculate the transit before you're going to say, yes, I am booking this load, right? So again, we're going to differentiation of USDOT NMC number. What is the difference? Well, USDOT number, it's identifies carrier operating in actually intrastate. This is a mistake. This is supposed to be intrastate. Look at this slide. This is a mistake. So intrastate commerce, NMC is in interstate. See? Pay attention to what you see on the screen. USDOT, there was a mistake. It's supposed to be intrastate, inside of the state. If you only stay in Illinois, if you only stay in Texas, if you only stay in California, you do not need MC number. You're going to be regulated under United States Department of Transportation of the state where you register your business. The moment you decide, well, I'm tired of California, I want to go to Oregon, you become an interstate carrier, you will need to have motor carrier number. So for new dispatchers, intrastate, inside, interstate, outside, inside only USDOT, outside MC. If most carriers start with USDOT, they add MC, but a lot of people have right away the USDOT or MC number. So do you need to know the difference? Intrastate, interstate? Yes, you do, because as a dispatcher, what are you gonna do? You're gonna fill out initial paperwork, and they will ask you, what kind of carrier are you? Are you a common carrier? Are you a contract carrier? Are you a freight forwarder? Are you a international Mexico carrier, Canadian carrier? So you will need to know this. Also, they will ask, are you a interstate or intrastate carrier, right? Which regions do you operate? So this is dispatch one-on-one. And of course, you need to know, what does it mean? USDOT, United States Department of Transportation, right? So this is federal department, but in each state. After this, we're gonna go on IFTA. Actually, it was I thought it was gonna go to FMCSA. Let's go to FMCSA first. So we had state, USDOT, and now we have Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. So what is this? Now this is a federal level, right? And they created SAFER. What is a SAFER? It's a safety and fitness electronic records. Why? Because any good government should protect public. And the federal government, in this case, they want to protect the public from commercial companies, right? If they have accidents, if they have fatalities, if something's going on, they want to make sure that they regulate these companies by some mandatory requirements. And as many of you know, it has to be insurance, it has to be BOC3 form, clearing house, drug and alcohol procedures, and all other things which we cover in safety and compliance. But as a dispatcher, at least please know that you need to have primary liability as mandatory insurance and also BOC3 and drug and alcohol program. If you want to succeed, of course, you will know all other insurances, right? Cargo insurance, inter-exchange, physical, worker compensation, occupational. What else we have? Intermodal coverage. So you will know all different policies. But in the beginning, at least know that Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration says before you ever gonna go on that road, you need to follow the rules. You need to have the primary liability at least for 750,000, which does not work. We need to have 1,000,000. You need to have BOC3 form. You need to have drug and alcohol program in place. Your driver has to meet minimum requirements, and minimum requirements are: he has to be 21 years of age, he needs to have commercial driver license, he has to have medical card, and he has to pass at least drug and alcohol test. This is a minimum. It's kind of easy learning from you, because I don't really want to kill you guys with all the safety regulations, right? So this is FMCSA. It is a public knowledge. Anybody who wants to check on certain company can go to the SAFER, go to snap a shot of the company, and they will see how many accidents they have, what inspections they have, where is they located, what is their MC, what is their DOT. It is a public knowledge because this is designed to protect public. So this is not something, if I talk about some company, especially about scammers, and they're like, oh my God, you expose our personal information. Well, that personal information is a public knowledge. So no, I'm not exposing your personal information. I actually telling people to stay away from you because you are not going by rules and regulations, right? And we already know who we're talking here about scammers in dispatch, and about scammers in running trucking company, about scammers with insurance and everything else. That's why trucking is so hard to build a really good company because everybody else want to cut the corners. But hopefully, one person at a time, we're gonna get better and better and better. Actually, I was so surprised today, a little bit off of topic. We had a safety class and compliance, and I have a guy there who already works in the company. Actually, I don't care. I'm not mentioning his last name, but his name is Igor. And I gave the homework today, and few hours later, he's already on the task. He's sending me back the planner, and he's like, Alex, yes, we're gonna be the best company in Indiana soon. And I am so proud because that means that people want to learn, people want to improve, people want to see how to succeed in trucking. And that's why you need to have a basic knowledge. So let's go back. What is a pre-trip inspection? PTI. Well, PTI, this is something that each driver has to do before they start driving. Why is it so important to do PTIs? Well, because we check our equipment, right? You need to check if your truck, if your trailer in what? In a good condition. Because if something is wrong, if your tires are illegal, if your brakes are not working properly, you should not be driving because you might cause accident, and it can be fatal for some people due to what? Due to your lack of doing the things you have to do as a driver. So in this case, PTI, this is a part of driver's working routine. PTI, pre-trip, and we have also post-trip inspection. As a safety manager, as a safety consultant, you need to make sure that it's done. You need to make sure it does not take. I know if you look at the ELD, everybody's PTI is only 15 minutes because they want to shorten the time. And I don't care if you put the 15 minutes on your logbook, but please invest at least 30 minutes and inspect your truck and trailer. It's not even about other people, but it's about you, first of all, because you are the one who's sitting in that truck. So if you're willing to take a chance to get into accident and for God's sakes die because of not just doing simple pre-trip, post-trip inspection, well, it's kind of not wise, right? It's not worth it. But plus, we are dealing with other people's life. We're dealing with people who not involved in trucking, and that's why you guys call professional truck drivers, because some things you require to do. So pre-trip is one of them, right? How can dispatcher use it? For example, you agreed to pick up and your pickup is not that far, but maybe it took you longer, right? And your driver is waiting to get unloaded and you need to buy a little bit more time. Maybe he did started already driving in the morning, he did his PTI, but sometimes we use it as what? As an excuse why I'm running late for this pickup. Well, because my driver had to do the PTI, right? That's why I'm running late. Does broker need to know that you already were driving in the morning and PTI actually happened 7 a.m. and right now is 12? No, not really. This is a little trick for you as a dispatcher sometimes to buy the time. And when they giving you a hard time, well, you're gonna tell them, do you want me to go against the federal regulations? Really? You want my driver to go without PTI, without the brake? You want him to speed? Well, we not flying, right? We not a boy in trucking. We a semi-truck. When sometimes brokers gonna look at the Google map, and a lot of times they're gonna swim through the Michigan, they're gonna drive through the Yellowstone park, they're gonna go through Colorado mountains, which we never use. Well, you have to guys realize as a dispatcher that we take in certain roads and we do not speed like BMWs or Mercedes or any other Chargers or other cars. We are semi truck. So we go with the speed. We takes us longer. So this is your job as a dispatcher to realize the transit has to be realistic. If you're working with Google Maps, which is kind of no when you become a pro dispatcher, you should use PC Miler or any professional software for mapping. It's gonna show you exactly, it's even gonna show you the realistic traffic in that area. But if you in Google Maps, sometimes it's not the real story, especially for people outside of USA. Please, guys, We have traffic. We have speed limit. We do not go to certain areas. So stop booking those nonsense load. Stop killing, first of all, our market, and secondary, jeopardizing that equipment. We have low bridges. We have all other things, and it doesn't mean that the truck driver can stop anywhere and park, right? So pay attention. Look on Google Maps, look at the softwares, make sure you look at the facility. And every time your driver delivers, ask him, how was this facility? Would you go back there? And if he says no, you should stay away, mark it down, and start learning your shippers and receivers. What else? Inspection. So that's what happens when you do pre-trip or post-trip. You have to check certain points on that driver vehicle inspection report, right? For people who are on safety, well, we need to have them, or they done in ELD, or they done in a special form. But do we need to have them? Yes, we do. Do they have to be truthful? Yes, they do, right? Because if your driver did PTI inspection and 5 minutes later he's getting stopped, and inspection report shows that his lamps on the trailer were not working, he had 4 illegal tires, he had an air leak, his fire extinguisher was not in place, and actually his IFTA sticker was not there. Wow, really? And then you guys complain, these inspectors are so bad, they gave me so many violations. Well, all of that can be prevented by what? By making sure that your truck has a correct markings, by training your drivers, and finishing mandatory things. And PTI is one of those, right? So as a dispatcher, you just need to know what's going on. And we're going back to what? To our CDL. So what CDL means? Commercial driver license, because we are dealing with professional truck drivers, right? And they have a different classes. Do you need to know the class your driver has, A or B? Do you need to make sure that you know any restrictions? Do you need to know endorsements on your driver's CDL? Yes, yes, and yes. Of course you need. And some dispatcher says, well, I am just a dispatcher. Why should I know? Well, because a lot of times you might be dealing with a tanker endorsed load, right? And if your driver does not have tanker endorsement, you cannot just send any driver. What if this is for double tripper? If your driver does not have that, you cannot send a driver. What if you are owner of the company and your guy gives you CDL and it has automatic restriction and you have the manual truck? Let's say Chris, I see that Chris is watching. He's a driver and he's like, don't worry about it, Alex. I know how to drive manual truck. I'm a big boy. I just took the CDL with automatic because that's what was provided for me. So can you do that? No, you cannot. Because if he has a restriction of that CDL, he can only drive automatic truck. You cannot put him in manual. And that's why, as a dispatcher, you need to know endorsements. You need to know any restrictions. And you also need to know, does this license even valid? But this is a part for safety and compliance. And that's what we've actually been covering today. How to check on what? On a CDLs, how to make sure you have information for the previous CDLs, how to monitor. It cannot be 1 a year process. It should be quarterly and sometimes even monthly, because we do have a lot of scams between all the CDLs. We even have fake CDLs. We have drivers who lose CDLs in one state due to even not paying child support. So he goes to different state, but he are not supposed to drive because his other CDL is suspended in certain states. But this is already safety and compliance. You as a new dispatcher just need to understand what CDL stands. And again, for people who are outside of USA, you need to know the meaning of this. What else? Shortage, overage, damage, rejection. This is a terminology which you hopefully will not be dealing with, but a lot of times you will. So where is it going to be? This is going to be on your BOLs, which becomes POD, proof of delivery. But in this case, it's not clean, because clean BOL or POD, this is when everything delivered with no damages, with no overage, with no rejections. And we already had this video earlier, how to deal with shortage, how to deal with overage, damage, and rejection. You just need to know exactly what to do as a dispatcher. So please revisit our previous video and just know what it is. But when the broker next day asking you, wow, Chris, was it a clean BOL? If you had none of this, yes, it was clean. That means that the goods were picked up and delivered on time, and everything was taken out of your truck. And if not, then you need to know how to do with it. Today, we're not going to be covering this just because it's too much to cover. We're just going through terminology. What does it mean, line haul? Brokers asking you, are you interested on this line haul? So this is a movement of the freight, and it can be done by different mode of transportation, by land, by air, by waterway, between distant cities. So line haul, this is just the meaning that this lane, that it goes from A to B. So for example, are you interested in line haul from Chicago to Memphis for dry van? So this is a line haul. So this is always have the A and B, our region and destination. So that's what it means, line haul, right? A lot of brokers gonna ask you, would you like me to add you to our line haul list? Which areas are you interested into? So you as a dispatcher need to know the regions. You as a dispatcher needs to know the states. You as a dispatcher needs to know the zones, right? From Z0 to Z9 regions, right? Northeast, southeast, southwest, midwest, mountains, west coast. Then you can go in more specific ones, right? And all of this we cover in the classes, but at least know what is the northeast, southeast, southwest, Midwest, mountains, and West Coast. At least that you need to know. Plus, since we're talking about those regions, you need to know the time zones, right? Time zones is a must. We are in logistics. So we're going to have Eastern, we're going to have Central Time, Mountain, and we're going to have Pacific. Big things for what? For people who working outside of the country. And I do have the questions about the time all the time. And this is probably one of any question is a good question, but sometimes we are in logistics, right? So you need to start practicing thinking logically, okay? So Alex, if I live in California, what time should I start working? Well, honey, if you live in California and your trucks are dealing on the East Coast and everybody start working by Eastern time, it doesn't matter where you live, you have to start working with the market, right? And we start from East Coast because that's where it starts. I, for example, in Chicago, I have to wake up an hour earlier if I need to book the loads early, right? Because I want to make sure that I am the one who is talking to the brokers first. Remember, especially now when the market went down. If you come to the office late, right? Just a simple example, not related to trucking. Let's say I work as insurance agent, right? And when you come to the office in the morning, usually it's a fresh coffee and the donuts. And it's like dozen. If I come first, I can choose any donut I want because I came first. Same with the loads. When you wake up faster, when you are the first one who make phone calls, well, you're going to get the one you really like, the one which is good for your care. When you come in the office 1 hour later because you're on Midwest, well, from 12 donuts, well, you might have 6 left. You can still choose and pick. Well, if you decide that you're going to come and work as a Pacific time, you come to the office and what do you have left? Sometimes you have 0 donuts left. So that's same in the truck. And sorry that I'm giving you this example, but if you want to succeed, especially in a low market, you do have to work with market. So we go by Eastern time. Doesn't matter where you located. It's the same if somebody is dispatching from Eastern Europe or somewhere from Asia would ask me that question. What time should I start work? Well, you work for USA Carrier. You start work when the USA carriers start working, right? And then the brokers work. So most of the brokers start to work 8 o'clock Eastern time. So from this, guys, you need to figure out when do you want to log in, right? Okay, what else? So that was line haul. Short haul and long haul. Well, I don't really agree with this because we also have the local runs, right? Around 150 miles. Short haul, for me, short haul is not just 250. For me, short haul is up to 350. This is not long haul, but this is a terminology given by and it's not really, it varies. It depends how you look at it. For me, I have a local runs up to 250. Then I have short haul from 250 miles to like 400. And then actually even 450, this I would still consider as a short run, a haul, and a long haul, anything after 500. What is challenges for you as a dispatcher? Well, you need to make sure that if it's more than 500 miles, you pay attention to the transit. It depends when is it pick up, when is it delivering, right? You really need to know your hours of service. You need to make sure if driver has enough hours on a shift, because just because it's a short run and your driver was delivering first and then he was deadheading and maybe he started his clock early 4 a.m., it doesn't mean that he can still make the transit just because it's only 275 miles, right? So hours of service and transit is a must. If you don't understand that, you will never succeed as a dispatcher. We probably need to do just separate webinar, like 3 hours on practicing hours of service and putting in your heads. Maybe it's something I need to add to our like extra webinars just on hours of service. Okay, that, well, this is an old version. What is a that solution? Dial a truck, right? That's how it started, load boards. So that was the first original dial a truck solution, right? Then nowadays, how many load boards we have? We have hundreds of them. We have paid subscription load boards like that, like Truck Stop, 123, Selectus, and we have free from brokers. But the meaning is the same. What is a load board? This is a meeting place for whom? For brokers who have a freight, for carriers who what? Who have equipment. Also, shippers can use load boards because maybe that's how they look for brokers and carriers, right? So this is a meeting place. So you just need to know the idea of load boards. We have paid subscriptions or we have free. As a dispatcher, this is your job and your duty to make sure you connect your carriers with each free load board. For if you booking loads with JB Hunt, your carrier should have login with JB Hunt so you can book automatically. It's free. TQL, XPO, Coyote, CH Robinson, Trinity, Choptink, oh my god, whatever. I mean, I think everybody has a load boards nowadays and it's free. So you're gonna expose your vision, right? What do you do as a dispatcher? Well, you don't just post your truck on Truck Stop or that. You also go and you post two load boards for brokers you like working with, right? You like working with XPO, go post your truck so they can see that you have available truck tomorrow, so they can call directly to you for your equipment, or you can play casino game there, right? I've been showing you guys how to do that as well. So in the end of the day, you need to know the meaning of load board, marketplace. Consider it as a marketplace. That's where we meet and that's where we exchange our services, right? Carriers pick up, deliver, brokers find the loads, give us the loads. So everybody has their part. This is kind of like a Starbucks, right? You want to go talk to somebody and do some business, or for me, go play golf, right? You want to make some good business, go play golf. And that's we meet there and we make some decisions to maybe sell something or do something. So load board is a market place, meeting place between whom? Brokers, shippers, and carriers, right? As a dispatcher, what do you need to know? What is a COM check, EFS check, and TCH check? This is just a form of payment, third party, right? So usually your company can write COM check if you have set up a account, or the broker is gonna give you EFS check or TCH check for what? They can even pay upfront for you 50%. They can give you money for the fuel if that's what you want. They can give you money for the lumper or late fee. So all you need to know that COM check, EFS check, TCA check is just a third party. It's a form of payment. Of course, remember what? That in the end, every time you receive anything from broker, you need to show them receipt that that money was used exactly for lumper, for the pallet exchange, for washout, for the late fee, if you want to get reimbursed. I'll be sorry. I had to rest my voice. So let's go to what is a fuel surcharge? As a dispatcher, should you know what the meaning of the fuel surcharge? How much was a fuel surcharge in the last week? It was approximately 82 cents, right? Why do you need to know? Because it's going to help you with your negotiation. Sometimes you're going to ask broker, well, can you add a fuel surcharge? But a lot of times they will not agree to this, right? So, but as a dispatcher, do you need to talk about it? Do you need to know how much fuel surcharge? Yes. And it is calculated from the base rate for the fuel, right? And it fluctuates, it's never the same. How can you find out what is the fuel surcharge today? Google or go to the fuel surcharge website and you will know exactly. But it can help you to negotiate, right? A lot of times, where do we see? I see it a lot with the Coyote app or XPO app. When I am playing that casino game, right? And I'm asking them for 2,000, but they want to pay 15,000, then it will end up with 1950. I see that breakdown 1,500 plus 450 surcharge. So what they do, for example, they take 800-mile trip and they add surcharge. So they multiply whatever surcharge at that day. So let's say that surcharge is 80 cents. So if we are talking about 800-mile trip, we're going to multiply by 0.82 cents, and we're talking about $656. So can you believe if all the brokers will really pass that surcharge to us as carriers? But doesn't happen that often. Usually happens when they really need to cover that load and you not agreeing for the less. But this is something you guys need to understand. What is a fuel surcharge? Where do you get the data? And that it fluctuates, right? What is a pallet? Well, pallets, right? Those are just the structures, wooden structures that we put the product in. You guys need to know the sizes, the standard sizes, different sizes. How many pallets can go in your trailer? If you a dry van, for example, 53, it can be 26. If it's a double stack, so you need to know this because you will need to know exactly how much weight is your product, how many pallets, so you can calculate the total weight. So in logistics, when you ask, is it palletized product? It's easier because it's easier to load, it's easier to unload than floor loaded. And remember, we have three different ways of having product in our truck. Palletized, you just need to make sure you know if it's a double stack, single stack, how many pallets. Seems it's gonna be easier, right? Those loaders, those lumpers, right? They take a little tiny truck and they go and they pick up, and it's easy load and unload. Then we can have floor loaded. What is the problem with the floor loaded? Well, you need to make sure how you're going to secure that. So what is floor loaded can bring to you as a trucking company? Well, damages due to the transit, because if you did not secure that correctly, the cargo can shift, right? So that's why stay away from floor loaded. And then we have bulk produce, right? Bulk loaded, like potatoes, like onions, and all of that. So in that case, you need to realize, should I do it or not? Because a lot of times it's gonna involve what? Washing of your trailer. You need to make sure that the scale, they not put too much, so it's up, going back and forth, loading, taking off, adding, and plus you need to wash the trailer, because if you put potatoes on your trailer, it's gonna have a lot of dirt. If you're gonna put all that nursery, floor loaded nursery, first, it's gonna take longer to unload, because now it's gonna say live unloading. You need a team of people who is gonna physically take every tree, every bush, right, to unload. So that means longer time. And usually they're not gonna pay the attention with the live loading and unloading. So here you go. Another little trick. Do you want to have live loading, unloading? What does it mean, live loading, unloading? That's what it means. That it's not gonna be palletized, that they're gonna take one bag at the time, one box at the time, one piece of furniture at the time, right? So that's what it means. Okay, so pallets, palletized, not palletized. Okay, what else? E-tracks. We're not talking about tracking system. We're talking about the metal hardware inside of our trailers. If you have E-tracks, you're going to have straps. I know I'm repeating myself, and probably students who watching me from the class are like, Alex, we got it, what E-tracks means. For new people, you will need to know how your E-tracks are installed. Horizontal or vertical. If it's horizontal, how many rows are there? If it's vertical, how far apart are they? How many straps that your driver has? So this is E-tracks. Why is it important to have E-tracks? I personally make sure it's mandatory in my company because it helps you to secure cargo. And if you secure cargo extra step with few extra steps, what happening? You're gonna have less damages. If you have less damages, you have less claims. That means that you're gonna succeed in trucking by simply installing E-track in your trailer. It doesn't cost that much, from 300 to maybe 700 to install E-tracks, right? So make sure you know. But as a dispatcher, when you see comments, E-track required, or the brokers asking you, does your dry van has E-tracks? Does your reefer has E-tracks? Well, you'd better make sure you know it has E-tracks. Don't just guess and say, oh yeah. And a lot of time people mistake E-track with tracking your driver on the phone. Two different things. So what's gonna happen? Let's say I am dispatch and I did not pay attention, or I did not know the meaning. I am sending my drivers who does not have E-tracks but who was willing to track. I'm gonna have what? Rejection of the trailer due to wrong equipment. Do you think anybody's gonna pay me truck order not used or compensate me? No, because I am as a dispatcher fail. I do not know my equipment. I do not know terminology. My driver might get pissed at me and say, why would you send me there? I don't have a truck. So that's why before we start dispatching any trucks, we're gonna talk to our driver. We're gonna ask about equipment. And here is another trick. I don't even ever trust the drivers. I ask them to give me a picture from inside of the trailer, from outside, for their cabin, so I can see for sure what's going on, right? So we need to know our equipment and we need to know our driver. Well, what else? We're going to be almost finished. Hours of service, HOS, right? Hours of service, not hours of sleeping. So this is the hours of service which a commercial vehicle drivers are engaged while they're driving, and they have to follow them, right? We have cycle, we have shift, we have restart, we have mandatory break, we have fueling, we have PTI, post-trip inspection, we have adverse driving, we have split of our sleeping, right? Sleeper berth provision. So all of that you need to know as a dispatcher, right? Right now we're not covering that, but you need to know, what does it mean? HOS. Okay. What is a reefer? It's a refrigerated trailer with a reefer unit, right? Mostly used for transporting food. In this case, you need to know what? The year of your unit. Not exactly trailer, but the unit. Is it downloadable unit, right? Can you get the data? You also need to know who made it, Thermo King or Carrier. How many hours on your reefer, right? Because this will help you to see maybe some reefer commodities you're gonna stay away from. And please stay away from ice cream, minus 20 degrees. Try to stay away from minus 10 degrees loads right now when it's summer, when it's too hot, because it's a lot of liability. What else we have? I think we have few more terminology to go over. Intermodal. What does it mean, intermodal? It's a transportation movement which involves more than one mode. So which modes we have? Mode, rail, right? We have trucks, motor carrier, we have airplanes, we have water vessels. So those are modes. So when we have a combination of two, that's what becomes intermodal. For example, you go and you pick up containers, you put on your truck, you pick up from the rail, you deliver to the yard, or opposite way, right? From your yard you deliver, you put it on a rail, and now it's go. Same with the air. You went to airport, you picked it up from airport, so it came from airport or from airplane. Now it's on your truck on a carrier. So that's what the meaning of intermodal transportation. What else? I think we know the LTL, less than truckload. That means that it's a partial, that it's not a full load. So if you have a truck which is 53, that means that it's gonna be less. But here is a trick. It can be only 5-7 pallets, but that doesn't mean that broker gave you less than truckload. If this is dedicated run, if they still consider this as a full truckload and pay you the full price, it doesn't mean that you can combine, right? If it's a full load but only has 5-6 pallets, you cannot consider it as LTL just because it takes only half of your trailer, right? So pay attention. If it was booked as a full truckload, as a dedicated run, you cannot combine. So usually you're gonna have what? You're gonna have a seal and you cannot combine. Do people do that? All the time. Some people are actually making their dispatcher look for the full loads which do not have that many pallets so they can bring to their warehouses, combine, and then they take two of them, especially if you go to California from Chicago, for example, right? So this way they try to make more money. Is that legal? Well, if it was booked as a partial, then it's legal. But if you put full load and you combine and you take it from one truck to another, well, this is not a legal activity. But do people do it? Do it all the time until they get caught. And remember, nowadays, when it is a full load and it's dedicated run, they will put the tracking in their product. So it used to be easier, but nowadays with technology, people already know that that cargo is not even moving. That cargo is still sitting on your warehouse. Same with the rail, right? People think, oh my God, we are so smart. We're just gonna pick it up. We're gonna tell them that we're gonna put on the truck. Then we're gonna make up stories that we had a breakdown because we are combining, or we actually putting on a rail. Guys, again, technology step up so much that all those scams are kind of an old story. So if you are learning to do business because your friends telling you, oh, you do it all the time, we used to do it all the time, well, make sure you understand that it's changed. So again, TL, truckload, full load, TL Carrier, trucking company which deal with dedicated trailers, full load, LTS, less than truckload. So usually when you set up with a broker, they will ask you, do you deal with the TL modes, LTL? So you can put TL and LTL because sometimes you will have partials if you decide to take partials. So, but as a dispatcher, do you need to know this? Private carrier, private or contract carriers. So those are businesses which operate trucks only for purpose of their company. So the principal business activity is not a private carrier. It's not transportation. Let's say I decided to make furniture, right? And I have a big production of the furniture. I don't want to hire people. I want to make sure that I buy 5 trucks and I will be delivering furniture by myself. I will hire the drivers. I will follow the rules, right? I can even buy a big semi trucks, but this will be used only for purposes of me shipping my own goods, right? I am not going to look for loads, for reloads. I'm only going to use it for my company. So that's what it means, private carrier, right? And common carrier that most of us are. We are carriers who find loads, different loads, reloads, and that's what we do. This is the purpose of our business. We provide transportation needs for everybody on the market. So hopefully you guys understand all this terminology, rewatch it few times and understand P&D. You see P&D on your rate confirmation. Well, it's pick up and delivery, right? What does it mean payload? This is a weight. So this is not a pay. This is a weight of the cargo that you gonna be hauled. So that's payload. So this is a weight of the product. Pedal run, this is usually considered to what? Truck routes with a frequent delivery and spots. We don't really use it as much. I never use a paddle run, but what do we call it? Multi-pick, multi-stop, right? Or one pick, multi-drop, or multi-pick, whatever. So I don't usually use it. I don't know if any of you use it, maybe in a different states. Maybe for people whose English is a first language, it's something which makes sense, paddle run. But me personally never used it. I saw it in description for the terminology and I put it for you because maybe some brokers will use it and they will ask you, are you interested in paddle run? So paddle run, I guess, multi-pick, multi-drop, something new that we learn together. Going back, who is an owner operator and who is OTR driver? Well, owner operator, right? It's a guy who owns his truck at least, right? He might rent the trailer, but he has his own equipment. He can work under his authority or somebody else's authority. And what does it mean, OTR driver? This is a guys who go probably further than only their intrastate, right? So they go cross country, they go to different states, and usually OTR drivers, look at this, they average 100 miles per year. This is the data, right? And of course, here we should have add what? Company driver. So we have a company driver who works for the trucking company with using their equipment, so they hired him as a driver. Do you need to know all this? Yes, you do. I'm gonna remove and we are done for today. Hopefully you guys gonna learn the basics. This is like ABCs, right? I really need to go live with HOS or maybe do the webinar. Probably it has to be webinar. It cannot be actually learned just by listening to me with HOS. You do need to have practice. You need to put it in your head. But that's it for today. I'll see my students tomorrow. And remember that our classes are coming up, right? Our next dispatch class starts in August 27th. We are probably at 65% sold out. Make sure that what? If you're looking for load boards, that you use our code to get the first free months. This is a code. You can call them or you can go and look at our website on YouTube. We have link if you have MC. If you are independent dispatchers, you have to call and mention this code to receive the 1 month free. Right now, it's like $179. So, of course, it adds up. And our IFTA classes is next Saturday. Do not miss, guys, because we're not going to have IFTA till October. And why are we doing IFTA next Saturday? Because now it's a time to file our second quarter. So we're gonna do the live filing in a class. We're gonna go through the permits, through all the permits, New York, Kentucky, New Mexico, and Oregon. What do you need to know? How to do it? That's why we do IFTA class only every quarter, once in 3 months, because that's how you file IFTA. And what is IFTA? Actually, no, did we cover that right? IFTA is the International Fuel Tax Agreement between USA and Canadian provinces. So you need to know, as a dispatcher, you can also provide the services for your carriers. And of course, I would like you to like, comment, share, and I'll just say hi really fast to people who I see. Somehow I couldn't connect to Facebook. So all the comments from Facebook I could not see. I don't know. I have to look at a stream where software and reconnect. I just did not have time to bother with this. But I see our member, Marta, is watching. I see Karim. Hello. Hello, Chris. Hello, guys. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you learned something. And here is me always. Alex, do you have tips for a new dispatcher to acquire their first owner operators? Yes, we have a lot of tips, but first you need to have a knowledge. Unfortunately, right now we're gonna be done with this live because it's been a little bit longer. It's usual my videos alone, but Chris, knowledge, knowing how to do sales, because in the end of the day it's sales. So you need to work on reaching out to people, validate your information, know your stuff, maybe add extra knowledge. That's why I'm very big on making sure that my dispatchers also come to safety and compliance classes so they can help carriers on different levels. It's not right now, it's not just about booking that truck. It's about helping them to grow. It's preventing their cargo claims. It's about making sure that they know their operational cost and improve their game. By improving their game, you have to relate what's going on today. You need to search them on Safer. You need to see what is their safety. So before you make that phone call, you need to do the prep. Only then you can make the phone call. So preparation, knowledge is a must. Like in any sales position, dispatchers, we need our sales abilities and knowledge to get the carriers. We need our abilities of sales when we negotiate the loads, right? So in the end of the day, can anybody be dispatcher? Probably not. So you have to be comfortable with talking on the phone. You have to have lots of logical thinking. You have to prepare. You cannot kill your carrier just asking him how much he's gonna pay or whatever. First, you need to show them the way with your dispatching what you're gonna improve. Are they gonna make it more money, and why, and how you're gonna do it? Just saying that I'm gonna post your truck 6 in the morning and I'm gonna stare at the screen for 7 hours, well, this is not a game plan. So you need to prepare that. Hopefully you've been doing it for a while so you can put those things together. Maybe you took some trainings and your instructor help you to prepare you for getting that care. But again, you need to have a knowledge, and that's why we started today with a basic knowledge of terminology. Love you guys. I'll see you soon, and hopefully sign up for our August class, and you'll see me in person. Our classes are live. They are not pre-recorded, and you do need to pre-study. Have a good one. I'll see you soon.
This is our down. Whoa, we're changing the world.